All right, so this is the cover of the New York Post today, and there you have the President of the United States, Islamic terror. I just don't see it, as Elizabeth showed us earlier. Yesterday, he appeared before the summit that the White House is holding down at in Washington, D.C. It's on violent extremism. The summit does not have Islam in its name, even though it really is about ISIS, which, by the way, does have Islam in its name. It is the Islamic State.
That's right.
The president saying some really confounding things yesterday and laying out exactly...
Where are you going to start? This is a long list.
I don't even know where you start. I mean, here we put together some of the sound bites of the president yesterday at this summit on violent extremism. Take a listen to the president. We'll come back and dissect it.
Al-Qaeda and ISIL and groups like it are desperate for legitimacy. They try to portray themselves as religious leaders, holy warriors in defense of Islam. We must never accept the premise that they put forward, because it is a lie. Nor should we grant these terrorists the religious legitimacy that they seek. They are not religious leaders, they're terrorists. No religion is responsible for terrorism. People are responsible for violence and terrorism. We can't paper over problems. And we're not going to solve this if we're always just trying to be politically correct.
So I think many people thought, well, whoa, you're the police on which religion is legitimate and which is not, of many things that he said there in this terror think tank. By the way, 60 different countries traveled there. Community leaders from Boston, Minneapolis, where they're running a program to start community organizations to try to keep youths out of extreme behavior, apparently, and perhaps offer them jobs instead of becoming terrorists.
To me, it ignores the obvious. Like, you come home and you see crayon all over the wall and someone's standing there with a crayon in their hand and you ignore who it probably is. When the president says they try to portray themselves as religious leaders, holy warriors in defense of Islam, we must never accept this premise that they put forward because it's a lie. If you listen to ISIS, that's exactly what they do.
Of course it is.
That's exactly what they say. They're trying to return to a 7th century version of Islam. They believe it's the purest form, and they put themselves out there as religious leaders.
Well, it's interesting, too. The two times we've heard crusaders and crusades mentioned are one from the president, when he decided to use moral equivalency in bringing in the crusades, to linking it to the burning alive of the Jordanian pilot, and then again on the beach as 21 Christians were beheaded.
Sure.
By ISIS, they say, and call upon the crusaders.
And in addition, and there you can see those 21 Coptic Christians being marched out onto the beach in Libya, where their heads are about to be cut off. The president also detailed, and it was earlier in the day yesterday as well, an op-ed from the L.A. Times where he talked about, well, you know, keep in mind, put yourself in their shoes. They have some grievances as well. And then we extraordinarily have heard over the last couple of days from the administration where they've been talking about, well, you know, they really need jobs. So when you listen to this former community organizer yesterday, he kind of made it sound like it's kind of a crime and education and job problem. Well, they also have a problem in so much as Elizabeth detailed that there were a lot of people in attendance yesterday. The White House didn't make the guest list public, but attendees mainly from Muslim groups. One of the people who was there is a fellow by the name of Islam al-Mariyati. And this particular guy is the founder of the Muslim Public Affairs Committee.
We only know he was there because he tweeted that he was there.
Well, he tweeted a photo of himself with Vice President Joe Biden and bragged, quote, "We joined Vice President Joe Biden for a discussion at the White House CVE Summit," was hashtag, which kicked off today. Yeah,
and one of the things that is makes his selection as being an attendee extraordinary is he's anti-Israeli. And he's also soft on terror. After September the 11th, on Israel, he said this in 2001, if we're going to look at suspects, we should look at the groups that benefit the most from groups that benefit the most, that's a repeat on our end, sorry, from these kinds of incidents. And I think we should put the state of Israel on the suspect. So he's saying that Israel should be suspected shortly after the terror attacks on the United States of America.
His name rang a bell. The Investigative Project on Terrorism actually posted a detailed fact sheet on scores of controversial statements that he has made. Nonetheless, that one being probably one of the most fiery. But Congressman Ryan Zinke, he was not having it. He said, "How disrespectful is this? It's a slap in the face." Literally, that's what he said. Watch.
I think it's a slap in the face to Israel. I mean, the Speaker Boehner invites Prime Minister Netanyahu. This administration invites a terrorist sympathizer. I think the contrast is clear. Israel has been our partner in the war on terrorism. You know, I'm speechless because, once again, it's a slap in the face of Israel, and certainly this is why our allies don't trust us and our enemies no longer fear us.
One of the other things he said in the past is that he's accused Israel of using the Holocaust as an excuse to justify what they do security-wise. So this is one of the people that we do know was in attendance.
Did you get the news that Eric Holder's leaving office?
And passing the torch to
And passing the torch. But before he goes, he's got one more thing that he wanted to leave as part of his legacy. Instead of ruling against civil rights charges in the Michael Brown case, in fact, he is going to sue the Ferguson Police Department for racial discrimination.
That's right. And if they don't agree to review and revise the tactics that they're currently using, they're going to sue to force the changes in the department, again, bringing about what he sees as justice. Some others just